And welcome back into another pre-game. Wrexham taking on Huddersfield this time. It's second, taking on six, a top six battle. And we are in for another tough game. I gave you the magic prediction last time around, and hey, we're 11 for 11 so far, 12 coming up. Hear about my prediction this game coming up. Take in the predictions, and I tell you what, the Red Dragons and the Terriers are going to deliver a ball-playing game. This is going to be a finesse-style game. You're going to see a game of football. You're not going to see a kick-and-rush style. You're going to see some tactics. And I tell you what, I think we're in for an absolute smasher of a game, or a cracker of a game, whichever way you want to say it. But welcome in, my friend. I'm glad you're back. And I tell you, that last game, wow, what a game. I'm wearing the gold. I'm going to step back a bit so you can see. But I'm wearing the gold. It's a lovely shirt. Like I told you, it really is cut. It's really cut differently. Yeah, it's not the same style. The shoulders are different. Anyway, before I go rambling on, it's good to see you. And if you're a first timer, get used to it. Like, subscribe, pay for your ticket, join our family. Now check the menu and see where we're going with the Red Dragons and the Terriers. And Terriers fans, there's a lot of stuff in here for you too. Welcome in. Okay, so now you know where we're going. I've got something to give you as we get off the ground. Now, moving forward, if you're a Huddersfield fan, you don't know this about me and this channel, but the Wrexham fans do, is every week I predict stuff. And to be quite honest, over the years, I've been pretty good at it. You should listen into the predictions and probably make money over this. In the last 11 games, we've gone 11 games predicting every game correctly. So I'm saying something with a little story attached to it. When I was a little kid, probably about 10, 11, I used to go to football matches, professional football matches, Division 1 with my dad. And I remember watching the games. And this was against the big teams, Liverpool's, the Man Uniteds and the Arsenals and all the big teams of the day. And I'd be sitting in the crowd, in the stands. And I'd just nudge him. I'd say, Dad, there's a goal coming in the next 2 minutes. I can feel it. I can feel it. He's like, you can feel it? Really? It went right on. And within 2 or 3 minutes, bang, there was a goal. So all I'm saying is literally I've always had this ability to know what's going on in the game. And since I've been attached with Wrexham for so many years and loving them from a distance, even through the bad times, I kind of knew which way it was going. So it's nice to have that ability, but it's not an ego trip, guys. I'm just really trying to tell you straight off the bat how it is and why it is and how I've had that ability so long. And hey, you should be making the money off it. So last week, Paul Mullin, there was something going on. I said something. Take a look. And take a look what happened. The Paul Mullin factor. Got a feeling in my bones this could be the weekend. I tell you, it probably could be Mullin time. Wrexham get the kickoff. Ball goes long. Comes into Ollie Palmer. He holds the play up beautifully. Lays it off to Ryan Barnett. Barnett now down the wing. Great trickery. He gets a crossing where he shouldn't get it in again. And Mullin time right now. Bang. Seconds into the game, Paul Mullin brings Mullin time. I felt it in my bones, guys. I really did. Hey, please subscribe. You'll hear more predictions. So there you go. There's a prediction about Paulie Mullin. And like I say, no ego trip. If I have an ego trip, I'll give myself a red card straight away. There's no doubt about it. Moving forward, let's take a look at the stats and the stories. We're talking head-to-head and last five. And last five. Yeah, 2 double fives. Take a look. You'll get it. So it's time for the head-to-head. And I do say this if you're a first-timer at the channel, like and subscribe, obviously, but press pause and you'll have longer on each image. Now, this is game 12 from the racecourse ground. The head-to-head is as follows. What do you think? Who's bossing it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go. 4 wins, 5 draws, 11 wins for Huddersfield. So Huddersfield is bossing it. Let's have a look at some of the history. Remember, press pause. You'll have longer on each image. The first match, September 73, it was a 0-0. Remember, press pause. You'll have longer. There's your last 5, making it even more complicated. And if you're looking for the form for the recent last 5 games, well, there's Wrexham's last 5. And there's Huddersfield's last 5. And that's why you should be pressing pause to get a little longer on each image. Remember, subscribe, like, join the family. So taken from the stats, you know we're in for a bit of a tough game. Either team can win this, and I tell you, the Gunslingers, I'll tell you what, they're not coming to lose, they're coming to play. And their possession. And they're a team that will either frustrate you or make you very happy. Because with 6 wins and 5 losses, that's pretty much what it does. Take a look now at some of the images, the top images that I've chosen from last week's game, Wrexham on the road at Rotherham. Take a look. As I just said, we're going to take a look at a few really cool images. The first one being when you're standing in the 4th wall at the racecourse ground. Just take a look at that view for a second. That would be absolutely amazing to stand there. If you stand there and you're in the family, let us know. And the next picture we're going to show you is from last game, and that's Paul Mullin walking into the building at Rotherham, getting ready to do the business. And within 1 minute, not even a minute, the ball's in the back of the net. Super Paul Mullin has done the business, and it was literally the first move from the kickoff. I did say last week as well, if we bring a top performance, we could get a 1-0 win. That's exactly what happened. And also, I have to say, hand it to you guys as well. The literature coming through, what you guys put down and the thoughts that you bring, I tell you what, top draw, guys, top draw. It really is. And it's so much fun to interact with you. And also, are you in this image? Now you've seen the images. Now take a look at the highlights of that same game. And Rotherham fans, Paul Mullin was out for quite some time and had not regained that razor-sharp form. Well, slowly, over the last few weeks, you could see it coming back. And right now with Jack Marriott, unfortunately with the broken leg, and let's wish Jack the absolute best and speedy return. But with Jack down, the door's now open for Paul to destroy teams again. And one thing I'll say on that before we go to the highlights, Paul Mullin does not like being number 2. He's a number 1. He's a leader. He's a talisman. He's Super Paul Mullin, SPM. He doesn't sit on the bench. He won't sit on the bench for anybody. He wants to play. He's the big man. He's the superstar for Wrexham. So his psyche, his confidence, his integrity, and his good feel, how he feels on the street creds side of things and on the street, that's all back in check. That's all back in order. So Paul Mullin's well-being is back where it should be. Look for the goals to come. I see a goal this weekend again. But hey, take a look at the highlights from last weekend, because I tell you what, that was the start of Paul's season. So, Terriers fans, each week we look at the highlights from both clubs. That's yours, Huddersfield Town, and from ours, Wrexham AFC. Take a look at what happened last week for Wrexham. Ryan Barnett on the wing, crosses in, and Paul Mullin gets it in. It's Mullin time. As predicted, Paul Mullin gets his first goal, coming back after the injury. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Also brilliant on the day was Arthur Okonkwo, brings another shutout performance, and at times he would get lucky. Check this, Nombe should have scored there, puts it wide. Paul Mullin could have had a second. Great battling by the guys, but just didn't. Now you've seen Wrexham. Let's take a look at Huddersfield. I tell you what, they had a great weekend last weekend. And yes, the Gunslingers, they win, they lose, they don't draw. 6-0-5 on the season, yeah? Haven't even had a draw. 5 losses, and they're sitting 6th. Probably not going to win the league with numbers like that. Probably not getting in the playoffs unless they can keep gunslinging as they have. But can you see that happening? You've got to stop losing so many. Win more, lose less, yes. There's the equation for you. But hey, take a look at last time out. Huddersfield taking on Bristol Rovers. Corner on 34. Matt Pearson turns, and in it goes, 1-0. Chapman releases the ball. Now this is Route 1 football. From the goalkeeper into midfield, no one marking. Bristol were terrible. Ball slides through. Callum Marshall turns, spins, and tucks it away. 2-0. And third one from Radlovic. Boom. Bristol were terrible. They do get a goal back, though. Isaac Hutchinson. 3-1. So there you go. Evans, Marshall, Pearson, the likes of. They can get it done. Right now, let's take a look at the game prediction. After that, we're going straight into the game talk, and we're going to the board. I've got lots of things lined up for you. Get ready. Yes, let's get to the prediction. Huddersfield Town fans, Terriers fans, this is what we do each week. We give you a prediction. So far, 11 games in, we're 11 for 11. We're looking for 12. You may like the score, you may not. But before we get to the prediction, I got to say thank you to Soldier HQ. Also, big thanks to Cool Fiction Books, or as I say, Mr. Sydney, as well, Grizzly 1719, Kent Alberta Rex, and Phil Weston 221. You guys rock it in the columns down below, and it's always appreciated when you make it known what your thoughts are. So thank you guys. Now to the prediction. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm seeing Wrexham getting 2 goals on the day. And for Huddersfield Town, you know, the Gunslingers, they're either going to win or lose. And on this day, I think they only get 1 for a 2-1 to Wrexham. So Wrexham take out the Gunslingers at the racecourse ground. Tell me what you think. So there you go. That's what I'm calling for. 2-1 to Wrexham. Don't mean to piss anybody off. Now we're going to go straight to the board. Huddersfield fans, you're new here, but get used to it. Come back for another pre-game. Sign up with us. Like and subscribe today. You'll be ready for the next pre-game when we come to your place. Yes. So Wrexham on the board. This is what I see going through it. 1 loss in 5. I tell you, that's a pretty decent place to start. Unbeaten in 3. Not a decent place, considering 2 losses recently. Wrexham's only failed to score 3 times in all the games so far. Yep, and those were all on the road. So no time at all have they failed to score at home. So Huddersfield fans, get ready to get scored on, because that's what the numbers say. Anyway, if you're looking at how many goals they've scored at home, they scored 4 on 1 occasion, 3 on 3 occasions, and 2 on another occasion, yeah? So they averaged 3 goals per game at home. The highest was obviously 4 last time out against Northampton. I say with conviction that this should be Wrexham's toughest game of the season. When I look at the numbers and look at what I've been collating, this definitely looks to me like a very, very tough game. It could go one of a few ways. It could be the perfect 1-0 win with a struggle all the way through it, or a 2-1 win like I'm looking for. A goal difference is what I'm seeing. Or you could see a game that literally goes a blowout style, where it ends up 3-4-0. Against what the stats would tell you, against what Huddersfield's all about, yeah. But they can take a loss like that. At the same time, Wrexham want to guard against. Wrexham really do want to guard against a sloppy performance at home. Because when you win, eventually one game's going to come along that's getting away from you. I hope it's not this game here. I'm going to say this much about Dan Scarr coming back before we get to another couple of guys. Dan Scarr coming back into the team. He hasn't had many games so far, and we picked him up recently. And I've got to tell you, I think the guy's quality. I like what he does looking around. His positional sense is fantastic. The way he heads the ball clear, he doesn't leave you hanging. His tackling is flawless. His ball dispersion, for a guy in League One, it's pretty good. I'm very impressed with Dan Scarr. Literally very impressed. I've got to say this much. Paul Mullin, looking at the board, back in action, should hit the net again. I think this is a game for Paul to get another goal. And I really feel that you're going to see Paul come back in. Remember, Jack Marrick's broken leg. He's out of the picture now. Paul's now the centre of everything. The galaxy revolves around SPM, Super Paul Mullin. That's the way he likes it. I don't care whether you think he's a narcissist or not, or whether he's a nice guy or not. But winners are not always nice guys. They excel because they're ruthless and they want that space for themselves. That's Paul Mullin. When you see him getting angry at himself, he's not angry at himself. He's angry at the world because he's not happy with what he's about. Right now, Mullin coming back, be aware. He's very happy with the way the world is right now. And he's not happy about Jack being injured. For any people thinking the rivalry and the jealousy between strikers, you could count that out. What's coming out of the camp is that everybody's sad about Jack being out, because let's face it, the guy was in hot form. One thing that's going to really help as well on the weekend is the 12th man. I think the crowd, although very good, and let's face it, last weekend against Rotherham, the noise. I mean, I was laughing my arse off completely and singing along with all the songs. I tell you, on the road last week, every man, woman, and child can be so proud of themselves, the noise they made, the way they represented It was phenomenal. It really was. But I'm going to say this. I see the win for Wrexham, but it's going to be another top performance, just like last weekend. Only a top performance is going to bring the win they need. And only a win is going to be good enough to keep Wrexham in second, because everybody behind us is coming like a freight train, and they're coming fast. And after 11 games, last year, Wrexham were ninth in League Two, and that was following, get this, a 0-0 draw against Mansfield. Let's take a look at our friends coming in, the Terriers, Huddersfield Town. Anyway, Coach Michael Duff. We're talking Huddersfield, we're talking the Terriers, but Coach Michael Duff, he had a great career as a player, especially with Burnley, yeah? And we've got to say, as of the 13th of May this year, is the coach. 53.3% is his percentage winning record. Now, that's pretty decent when you consider Phil's in the 60s. This guy's in the 53%. He's only 46. So he hasn't got the career or the experience that Phil has as a coach, but he's doing okay right now. Remember, his team is performing like gunslingers. Yeah? The numbers are saying that as too. 15 games, 8 wins, 7 losses. No draws. No draws. And I'll tell you now, this is a guy that has his defense set up and his team ready to attack. You could say counterattack for sure, but those numbers don't come by without anybody else trying one thing. They want to attack. And sometimes the back door's open. I would imagine pretty close to the fact that Huddersfield fans would say, you know, they're good going forward, but sometimes they really frustrate the hell out of us when we lose, because they've lost games that they should not have lost. And I'm being honest. So they're a big team, but they're not pulling all the big results. And the first phase of the season started great, but the second phase of the season, it's not been the same. It's been two halves. Like I say, 11, 12 games in. The first phase was great. The second half has been miserable. Recently, 2 wins back to back. They're starting to come up, but they're a good team. They really are. So the coach knows what he's doing. The Gunslingers, 6 wins, 5 losses. Last 2 wins back to back, like I told you. Away form, though, it's the same. 2 wins, 3 losses all season. Yeah, nothing changes. Goals for, though. This is going to interest you. 8 goals for, 5 against. So when you look at 2 wins and 3 losses, they scored more than they conceded. Alarm bells need to be ringing. But Huddersfield are definitely going to be tough to beat over 90 minutes. I tell you that for a fact. And I think that at the end of the game, when Wrexham come out with 3 points, it will be a defining performance. And I see another great wing play game from Ryan Barnett. But we need eventually to start threading some decoy plays in there and not become too predictable. And if someone uses a strong arm on Ryan, that might not go down too well. So look for a tough game. Wrexham is the favourites to take the 3 points. I don't see a draw. So there you go, my friend. We are to the end of the show, closing it down, getting ready for the kickoff. And I'll say this much, get ready for a real dose of Wrexham drama. I see a really good game. And if you think that Rotherham last game got your nerves and really got you worn out after the game, because from minute 1 to minute 90 plus, defending 1 goal with Arthur standing on his bloody head, making save after save, guys making block after block, we rode our luck big time, right? We really did. But we came out with the 3 points. It's that kind of game I'm visualizing again. The only difference or big plus for Wrexham is we're at home. And for Huddersfield, that might bespell a bad day. A very bad day. But Wrexham is a different beast on the road than they are at the racecourse ground. And I say this much. Diolch for great football down the wing play, because I see that to route one, getting the 3 points. I think Ryan Barnett is going to stand on his bloody head again. 5 assists on a season. I keep raving about the guy. And I tell you now, if we don't lock him up onto a contract, someone's going to pick him up and take him away from us. I see the signs there. He's an absolute gem. An absolute gem for this club. And when I talk about wingers, I talk lovingly about wingers because there's not many that can do what he does. And when he threads across, it looks impossible that he's getting the ball through, where most guys fail with that style of play. He succeeds. So again, I tell you now, we got to lock him up to a 5-year contract right now. And if we don't, and someone comes a-knocking, you know he's got no option but to go to higher levels. You can't blame him, and you wouldn't discourage it. But for me, the warning signs is there. He's an absolute brilliant player. He's coming of age. He's got class written all over him. And when Wrexham succeeds, isn't it funny that he is main centre making it happen? And by the way, the catalyst to getting him in the game is a guy called Andy Cannon. Look how many times Andy Cannon threads the ball. Yeah. And Ryan is on his way to the races, threads the ball over, and like you saw in the last game per se, James McLean smashing that header home like he did in Vancouver. I'm just saying, we got to lock him up. We really got to lock him up. But I got a feeling again about Paul Mullin, so get ready for that one. And I got to tell you, is Ryan Barnett going to actually get another assist? I got a feeling for that too. Or, I say this as well for Terriers fans, is Wilkes and Karoma going to spoil Wrexham's day and give us a first loss or potential draw? Which, let's face it, we don't drop many points at the racecourse ground, and we don't want to start making that become a habit, now do we? And I'm sure the lads won't. And let's face it, again, let's give Jack a push here of love. Hope he gets the best of treatment, comes back strong. But until then, do we need another striker? I ask you that. Do we need another striker? Thanks for watching. Join the family, like and subscribe, and remember, it's Wrexham, it's Huddersfield, it's the racecourse ground. Let's have it. Cheers.